Hi and welcome. My name is Dorothy and tonight we're going to be cooking a delicious lasagna soup. I know lasagna soup sounds kind of weird. I was kind of skeptical too, but I tried this recipe, I made some tweaks to it, and I think it's really good. It's going to be gluten-free because I am gluten intolerant, and it's also going to be plant-based since I live a plant-based lifestyle. It's a very simple recipe, and I thought it would be really fun for right now because here in Southern California it's really cold in my opinion. Even though I guess it's like 60 degrees, but in LA that's cold, and I grew up in Palm Springs, so I grew up in the desert, so I think 60 degrees is the high is kind of cold. So this soup is going to be really wonderful for a nice cold night to warm you up, and it is a delicious savory option. So we are going to first talk about the ingredients we're going to be using. I have them all here for you. We will be using 1 small onion. We'll also be using a big handful of fresh basil because fresh herbs are delicious and fresh basil is one of my favorites. We will also be using some garlic. You would want to use about 3 medium largest cloves. I only had some small ones right now that I wanted to use up, so these are 4 smaller ones. Over here I also have 1/8 of a cup of nutritional yeast. If you don't know what nutritional yeast is, it's a really delicious vegan kind of supplement. It has a lot of B vitamins in it that it's hard to kind of get on a plant-based diet, and it adds a bit of a cheesy, nutty, savory flavor to things. I think it kind of enhances the flavor in a lot of recipes, so we'll be using that. I also just have a little bit of a 1/2 teaspoon here of fennel that I'm going to be sauteing with the onion to help bring out those flavors. I think fennel gives a nice Italian flavor. Just never get fennel mixed up with star of anise. I haven't done that, but my mom, growing up, she was convinced that star of anise is what you use in recipes instead of fennel. So that is how I grew up eating licorice flavored spaghetti, which wasn't pleasant. So careful with that. Want to make sure it's fennel, not star of anise or licorice. All right. Next we have some oregano we're going to be adding. I only have dry oregano, so we're going to be adding about 1 teaspoon of this. We also have these gardein meatless crumbles. For this recipe, I'm making a lot of soup because I want this to last, to have some leftovers. So I'm going to be using about 1/2 the bag. We also have some baby spinach, and I'm going to be putting baby spinach in the soup. It's going to be delicious. And then just for some added protein and substance, I thought it'd be really nice to add garbanzo beans. Make sure though, when you're draining your garbanzo beans, that you reserve the liquid, because the liquid is this magical substance, agua faba, that can be used in many different recipes, including making vegan meringue. And I've done it, it works, it's really good. And we have olive oil that we're going to be using for our sauteing. We have the Jovial brand gluten-free lasagna pieces. What we're going to end up doing is breaking these up into pieces when we add them to the soup. We also have just a can of diced tomatoes. Like I said, this is a really easy recipe. It's nothing fancy. It can be put together really quickly. And then just a little can here of tomato sauce. All right, so let's get started. First, we're going to start with chopping our onion. Wonderful. So we have our onion chopped. I'm going to put this over here for now. And we're going to go ahead and chop the garlic. All right, now that we have everything pretty much prepped, since it's a very simple meal, we're going to go ahead and get to the stove to get cooking. All right, so for this next part, what we're going to be doing is first we're going to be adding in the can of diced tomatoes. And then next we're going to be adding in the small can of tomato sauce. Should we get all of that out? And then next, we have our yummy sauteed veggies. The sink now, he's having a dirty pot around. It's gonna stir this all up. Very nice. Salt, pepper, we'll be using this later. Right now, what we're gonna do, we're gonna add in 1 cup of water. 2 cups of water. 3 cups of water. And then we're going to stir. I'm going to go ahead and turn the stove on to medium heat. It's already looking like a beautiful soup. We've added 3 cups of water. We might end up adding in 1 more cup of water or 2 possibly, depending on the thickness that is desired. I'm also going to be adding in the can of chickpeas. It looks so weird because it just looks red right now because we haven't added in any of the spinach or the basil, but it'll look more normal once we do. So we're gonna wait for this to simmer a bit, and then we're gonna come back and eventually add in the veggie beef crumbles, the spinach, the basil, and the nutritional yeast, and then we're gonna season to taste. Okay, so our soup has been simmering now for about 5-10 minutes, and we're gonna go check on it. It smells so nice. Just giving it a good stir. And now we're gonna add in the gardein. And give it. Go ahead and stir it in here. It looks so good now. Right now it looks like a really, really delicious fake vegan-y meaty sauce. So we're gonna let that now cook for a few minutes here before we add in the next ingredient. All right, it's been another few minutes here, so we're gonna check on again now that we have added in the gardein beefless crumbles. Looking and smelling very nice, really coming together. Okay, right now we have in here the gluten-free lasagna pasta. I've boiled it in salt water and I've left it still pretty tough, even a bit more tough than al dente, because it's going to be going in the hot soup, so it's going to end up cooking a little more anyways, so I didn't want it all the way cooked. So we're going to go ahead and add that in. stir this around a bit. Oh, it's looking much more like the lasagna soup now. And it's hard to see from the steam, but it is. Okay, next we're going to be adding in our baby spinach. So I really like greens, I really like baby spinach, so I'm gonna end up probably adding in almost all of this bag from Trader Joe's. Greens. Okay, stirring this. Oh, and it's turning into a nice, thicker stew. Oh, yes. This is exactly how we want it to look. I know it is hard to see. Okay. Now, we have our nutritional yeast. And then we're gonna add in the basil. Okay, so here I have the basil that I've chopped up from earlier. I'm gonna add that in. And then I'm also gonna add in 1 tablespoon of olive oil. It's really amazing how fast this soup comes together. It's such a great weeknight dinner. And it is Monday night, so it's the worst of the weeknights, so it's nice to have a nice, comforting, easy soup. Great. I've had this on medium heat. I'm now going to turn it down more low, so it can just simmer a bit. Pretty low. Let all the flavors combine. I'm also now going to be adding in the salt and pepper to taste. So we have our pepper here. Salt. All right, let's do a little taste. Check how the salt, pepper. Very good. Very tomatoey. Need a bit more salt though. Go ahead and stir that. It's good to err on the safe side with salt because you can't take it back. Although if you do end up adding too much salt, something you can do besides of course just adding more broth, you know, you already have a nice consistency of your broth. Potatoes can be used to help absorb the salt as well. Oh yeah. I almost forgot, but there is one last thing you can add. It's optional, but if you like spicy food, which I really do and my husband does as well, we like to add in some red pepper flakes. So right here, I have 1 teaspoon of red pepper flakes. This really just is to add a kick to it. You could use more or less or none depending on your own preferences, so I'm just going to add this in here as well. Alright, so our soup is ready now. Let's see if I can give you. It's very heavy. It is a lot of soup. But I wanted to make a lot because I was really wanting leftovers this week because I have a class tomorrow night. I'm going to be very busy this week in general. I have to wake up like at 5 on Friday because I'm leaving to go on a little trip this weekend. So I wanted to have lots of soup to have for leftovers. It's also really great if you freeze it and you can reheat it. Alright, so I'm really excited to sit down and have a delicious bowl of this lasagna soup. Okay, so the last thing we're going to be doing is adding in just a couple finishing touches before we dig into this delicious soup. I have it at this angle so you can see what I'm doing. But right here, I have a little bit of garnish of some of the baby leaves of the basil. And then right here, I have this amazing cashew-based cheese. And this brand is Treeline. This flavor is the Chipotle Serrano flavor. I love this cashew-based cheese. I've actually tricked people with it into thinking it's real cheese. It's a really creamy, soft cheese that really complements the soup. It kind of gives it that ricotta. So adding a bit of this on top, and then along with a little sprig, whoops. Beautiful. Okay, so here we are with our delicious soup. I have a spritzer I've made for myself. Cheers. And we are going to do the taste test. Right now, let's get some. I like to swirl this up a bit in the soup. Let's get a little bit of it all. Okay. This is so good. The soup from cooking, it kind of thickened up a bit, so it's not watery. It's really more like a stew, which I like because since lasagna is a casserole. Oh, there's my dog playing with her toy. I guess no barking, but squeaking the toy. Since lasagna is a casserole, it's nice to have it be a little thicker and more like a stew. Really, adding the cheese to it, the Treeline cashew cheese, adds so much. If you don't want to add it, you wouldn't have to. You could add in any other type of soft vegan cheese. You could even add in some vegan mozzarella if you wanted. But I think this is really special. You could add in none of it. Just keep the soup how it is. It's still really delicious on its own, but this just adds that little extra something. I was very hungry, so this is really, really perfect right now. Alright, well, I really hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you're able to try this soup and that you enjoy it. I really enjoyed making this video for you and making this soup for you. Until next time, bye.